they got. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Maternal Infant Health Series at Wayside Recovery Center. This afternoon, we will be with our presenter, Ms. Loren J. Turner. She'll be presenting to us today from the perspective of how can art inspire us through parenthood. She is an artist and a birth worker. And in the month of July, starting off with Dr. Anicio Williams, we have just been exploring maternal mental health month, and thinking of what creative ways can we broach this topic, be a service to our community, as well as explore the importance of us not only thinking about maternal mental health, talking about it, learning from each other as colleagues, professionals, and community members, but also sitting back with this and thinking about what more ways can we advocate, educate, as well as move maternal health forward. The question at Wayside Recovery Center we're always asking is, how can we reduce the disparities and how can we improve the outcomes for BIPOC moms and birthing people? And so when you say, well, wow, how did you come up with these various topics for this month? We were thinking creatively and wanting to make sure that we don't want to leave any aspect of the diverse right, education and experience of becoming a mom, families growing, sacred births. Like, what does that mean in our community? And so I want to invite each of you who are attending, please share your resources, share information about your local community, about what you are doing. This is also networking. We network here with one another to share resources. I attend a lot of trainings. So please consider this, again, another opportunity for us to connect in the chat, to share resources, and also let's get to know Ms. Loren J. Turner a little more. But I want to also mention how we approached this maternal mental health series quickly. We started off with Dr. Anicia Williams. She is a therapist. Then we also spoke to a local birth worker, doula, in our community, has a program called Diva Moms. And she just really broached self-care, not just for moms, but for us as caregivers, workers in community who are serving families. Then yesterday we had the documentary that was amazing, From the Ashes, from Teresa Fortune, who really shared her firsthand lived experience with postpartum depression and how she's continually working through that and now in the advocacy realm. And today we are talking, which I love, in such a beautiful, right, experiential way of learning, right? For those of us who are creative, right, or tactile, kinesthetic, this is touching all different learning styles for us today. And I hope that we'll be able to bring this back to our community or figure out how we can implement some of what we will learn today in our practice. And so I am happy to introduce you to Loren Turner, and she will take it away from here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. And I hope to connect with those people too. Hi, my name is Loren. I'm a doula and artist in Baltimore who became passionate about birth and lactation through my own experiences. And I was certified through a local doula organization. I have a degree in fine art from a community college, and I have two little ones, and you're going to hear about them. So I wanted to also open the floor and connect. My goal is to create an open dialogue so everyone has a moment where they can share their experiences or even their vision. So yeah, how can art inspire us through parenthood? I want to open this question, but I also want you to think about this question through the discussion. Art has empowered me in so many different ways, and I hope to actually hear how art inspired you. So how can art inspire us through parenthood? Let me know if you want to raise your hand. I think it's like a raise hand thing, or is it like they can get off mute?
Loren, I think, so what I need to do, and Zora, can you give me back the host controls, please?
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes it shifts as we join. And okay. So, and if, Let me see, because I don't want to take, okay, I can reclaim it, Zora. Okay, so what I need to do, everyone, sorry, in the new features as they change and update in Zoom, some features are turned on without our permission. So I'm clicking on everyone to allow you to speak, and I believe you can even turn on your camera if you'd like. But please stay muted if you are not responding, okay? Thank you. All right, sorry, Lorraine.
No problem. I want to present the question again. How can art inspire us through parenthood? And it can be just a simple sentence if you feel comfortable with sharing. You can also add it to the chat.
I would just say that what we've learned is that there's a lot of emotions, right? Challenges and stuff to that process. And so being able to process, I know art has been really helpful for me in like processing emotions and dealing with feelings, big feelings and things like that. So it's like a outlet, I would say.
Yes, like that's the same for me. Art has given me a voice that I've never had. And we're going to talk about it. So I have some how do I click to the next one? I click to the next one on my other side. Oh, this it says inspires me as a way to help me to see that I am more than a mom. Wow, yes, yes. Like you are so much, I'm so much more than a mom, and you are so much more than a mom. And being able to create, it gives you another type of voice that you can't have when you're speaking. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. So I think I should share again, right? Am I sharing still?
Not yet, share again.
Okay. So okay, it's disabled.
Okay, so you know what? Let me make you, okay, I gotta make you a co-host again. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's
Here,
all good. We're working this out. We got this. I'm so excited to be here too. So okay, here we are. And what's the next one? So I I really wanted this to be something that you can take screenshots of. So our goal is to collectively share our stories. We're going to learn how to critique because a lot of times we get so bent up on, how do I, communicate how I feel about this work of art. I want you to leave here saying, you know what, I'm going to share my words. I'm going to share my knowledge because I know that it's important to share. We're going to talk about artistic inspiration. We're going to talk about color theory, art and birth. We're going to explore the connection between art and the birthing process, uncovering how artistic expressions can influence and enhance the birth space. And we're going to talk about representation because representation is really important, especially when you are someone who is not always celebrated. So the biggest things to remember is that I have great taste, and when I say I mean like you have great taste, and you know what feels good, you know what is visually like empowering to you. So just keep that in mind. And just because I don't create art does not make my opinion less than the creators. A lot of people say, well, you're the artist, and they have this big perception that their opinion is not valid because they're not creating. So I really want you to just step into the realm of knowing that you have something to give. And I can experiment with art just for the enjoyment of challenging myself. A lot of times, some people like when I get feedback, people say, well, I can't never do that. Or they don't want to try because they feel like they're not good enough. So the idea is to encourage you to do things even if it means that you just throw it away at the end of the day or take a picture. So just try your best to just do something. So we are building a personal relationship with art. Ooh, oh my gosh. So we're building this relationship and it really starts in childhood. We can find our way through creativity. Like I wanted to talk about my daughter. My daughter is like a artist. Like I already know that she is going to be someone who loves art and uses art to just thrive and live. My son, my son is not an artist. He's more of like a gamer, but we find different strategies for him to incorporate art that he likes. So instead of painting, he may be more interested in putting together puzzles or listening to music or even singing. So I want us to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in creating and exploring art. Only some feel connected to creating, but everyone can see and experience art. And I have another question. I guess you can also write it in the chat if you feel comfortable. Are you currently watching someone's journey unfold? Are you a mom? Are you a dad? Are you someone who is just watching someone like just paint? I really want us to start nurturing our gifts as well as our children's gifts or the people around us. So yeah, think about that, and you can write that in the chat. I'm not sure if I can see the chat, but feel
I can
free to
monitor
answer
the
the
chat for
question.
you. I can monitor the
Thank
chat
you, thank
for you.
you. Awesome. So I wanted to talk about my story. Oh my gosh. This is my grandma. This is my mama dear. I call her mama dear. She was someone who inspired me. My grandmother, she was a librarian, she was a historian. And I say she was because she recently passed away. But she gave me this passion to understand history. And she also explained to me things, her being a Black historian, things that I just did not want to hear, things that I wasn't really grasping the concept of until I became a birth worker. And I started realizing that some of the things that she was saying is absolutely true. But she was the one who helped me in my art career. And yeah, my journey ended up circling back to art because of the things that she purposely put in my life. And I wanted to talk about this because maybe you have a child, maybe you are just someone who just needs a little magic to like start your journey through art. But I started art, I started to grasp and want to do more art after connecting with my elementary school teacher. Um, and I also like I feel like teachers have a long impact on our self-esteem and the things that we go through as just individuals, but my art teachers were always people that I felt connected to. I see a few things in the chat. Let me make sure.
I can read those for you.
Okay.
So we
Awesome.
have Jennifer again says, I always admire artists because that's a talent I left untapped. I'm watching myself grow when I do placenta prints. And then we were honoring your grandmother. And then Bonita's also saying, thank you for sharing your grandmother with us.
Oh, thank you, man. I love my grandma. Like I get so emotional because she was a stern person, but she loved me so much. So thank you for appreciating that because that's my mama dear. I call her mama dear. So yeah, she was able to get me to a gifted art school in middle school, and then I found my way to a art high school. So I've been doing art primarily in my like my life since like when I was little. I was painting when I was little, but I started to really understand my craft of painting in high school. I actually was able to paint nude models in high school. I was able to build a community with other artists in high school. So a lot of my understanding of the technique came from high school. And I love to share this because I hated painting. Like I actually did not like painting. I had an art teacher who encouraged me to paint, and I didn't like it, but we had a critique, and that's why I feel like learning how to critique is important. We had a critique, and he boosted me up. He was sharing how, he was like, oh, I love the way that you did this with the paint strokes, and you made the paint strokes instead of focusing too much on the detail. Like he really helped me understand that I have value in what I was creating. So after that critique, I was like, I'm going to be a painter now. And that was back in high school. So my first critique made a positive impact on me. I'm sorry, not my first critique, but when I started realizing that I had power and I had the opportunity to flourish as an artist, I held on to painting. And like I said before, building a community around art can empower us to create. We also need to see it within ourselves. So the next slide is like it's a lot, okay? I wanted to make this fun, but I really, if you can take a screenshot of this, and I'm not sure why it's cutting off. It's not cutting off so much. So where, as you say, you see objective, that's where it can start. But this is just explaining how you can critique in a positive light. So pay attention to the visual elements, the composition, analyze the techniques, evaluate the technical aspect. I'm sorry, it's better on here, of artwork, including the use of color, texture, brushwork, and consider the emotional ideas, the themes that the artist may be conveying. Constructive feedback is so important. A lot of times sometimes people feel like constructive criticism means that you just don't like it, but explain why you don't like certain aspects of the work of art. It's really important to give constructive feedback because art is an extension of ourselves, and sometimes people are not able to handle like the comments, it's really important for us to have constructive feedback, but also feedback. Just don't say, oh, it looks amazing, actually try your best to explain why you feel like it looks amazing. So personal response, share your personal response to the artwork, including your emotional reaction, thoughts, and open dialogue. Encourage open and respectful dialogue with the artist or fellow viewers. And remember, the goal of a critique is not to tear down the artist, but to provide insights that can help them grow and develop their artistic skills. I know that was a lot, but I hope that you take your screenshot. I think this is really important because not only can we go in spaces, like you can go to a museum, you can bond over art, you can, purchase a piece of art from a gallery, but also include it in your everyday life. So if you have a young child, you can critique their artwork and it'll help them understand that, you're not just saying, this is amazing. You're explaining why you like it, and it builds a better connection. All right. So this is the part where I need your engagement. We just explained what a critique is, and this is a piece that I created in high school. You can see this is a nude model. So the open critique, and I know I've said a lot, but you can simply say something that's positive or explain what you see. And then you can add something that may challenge the person or creator, so that you can challenge me. If you want to share your critique in the chat or get off of mute and share, I would love for you to share your what you see. You can simply say, there is a figure sleeping on a red chair. She doesn't have a shirt or underwear. And sorry, she doesn't have any clothes on. And yeah, it's just like a quiet space. And then you can explain what you may not like, or you can explain something like the light. You like how the shadow hits her neck. You like how it is more abstract than an actual figure, although it's a figure art. So definitely share if you feel comfortable.
Okay, everyone should be able to unmute if you like, or you can use the chat. And while we're waiting, I'll comment that I just noticed the soft tones that you used in her body, and the other tones around the coloring is a little more dominant, or I would see that it's darker, so that I immediately, and the fact that she's sleeping even makes me believe more that like this is a gentleness comes to me, right? And also, I guess it evokes compassion for me, because I don't know why is she, laying there. Anyone else? Anyone else in the chat want to share? Or you can unmute. You should be able to unmute. I know that Jennifer had said previously, she said, I never thought about going into detail when I like art or how I like it.
Going into detail oh,
sorry.
Go ahead. Okay.
I'm taking care of my toddler at the same time, so I didn't want to unmute myself, but it was a lot to chat while doing everything. But I really wanted to say I like how her exhaustion is really shown in the picture, in a painting. And then the way, like, I don't know. For me, because I'm a mom, I'm like, oh, she must be breastfeeding. Like, you know, after giving birth, you know, like trying to figure out the everything. And then on top of that, it's like, I don't know, being pregnant, you don't want to wear clothes, then you kind of keep that habit going afterwards sometimes. And I don't know, maybe she's been cleaning, maybe she's been doing a whole lot, but it does tell a story. Like you can fill in the blank in a story, and I like that so much. I like that it shows that to me the lighting in the room makes me think it's like probably like 7, 8 o'clock at night, or you know, sorry, throwing a tantrum. 7. But it's slowly getting late. I'm gonna mute myself now.
Yes, I appreciate you sharing, and I appreciate you being here. I love that. I love this. It's amazing to actually connect with people and get some of this artwork critiqued. And like I said before, being able to communicate, like when just communicate. I think it's important to communicate in a constructive way. But if we just sit around and say, "Oh, I love it," and you really don't love it, you know, like there, yeah, it could be something like, I think you could have put a little bit, you could spend more time doing her hand. I think it's cut off a little bit, but the hand that's tucked around. I'm critiquing my own artwork, which is weird for me. But you know, there are some things that you can point out, and especially if it's someone who's able to receive it, I think it's really important. And I appreciate you sharing that feedback, because this was in high school. You know, she was on a like a just a stage, and in the background you see the computer. The background, it kind of looks like a window, but it was like paintings that were stacked on each other, and books. And I just think it's so interesting how you can just think about something and see something and get a whole story from it. So I appreciate you for sharing that. So here it is. Does anybody else have a critique for me? Anything to share? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Akila Witherspoon's joining us from the DMV area. And then Jennifer is saying, I thought it was an apartment. So you're sharing background information with us that we didn't realize.
Yeah, this was high school, guys. Like, if you have a little fellow artist and you're interested in getting them to the next level, instead of thinking of college or just of college, consider finding art schools or art camps, because I got most of my skill from high school, and it's nothing like being surrounded by, you know, teenagers who are also inspired by art. It's a different vibe, you know. We were able to be around nude models as teenagers without doing anything weird or saying anything weird. You know how teenagers are today. But if you have a little artist, definitely think about putting them in camp, or think about putting them in a high school or elementary school, middle school that is inspired by art. So this one, the next one is, how or why should we create art? And then here we are. It makes us feel something. It gives us a voice. It's something to do. It feels like therapy. It feels like meditation. It helps us connect with our community. Not sure why it's another bullet point there, but so all of these things, like, that's how I feel about my art. And if you would like to share, I would love to hear why we should create art. So while you guys are sharing that, I'm going to go to the next one. I feel like I'm taking a lot of time. Just because you walk away from your art doesn't mean you stop being an artist. So me, after doing high school, I had a bad fight with my family, and I decided to stop doing art. I stopped doing art for, I think, about 5, 6 years. And I just didn't feel like an artist. It was nothing that made me feel like I was drawn to it anymore. I was painting just random things. I was painting just random stuff. It was nothing that really inspired me to hold on to art. And so through that, I ended up connecting with my high school film teacher. So I became pregnant, and I posted on Facebook, and I was just like, oh, like, I'm pregnant. And my high school film teacher, she reached out to me and said, where are you giving birth? Hospital. And she's like, oh, have you considered home birth or birth center? And I was just like, wow. You know, I didn't understand how important, I wasn't a part of the birth world yet. So I did my research and found that home birth was the best place for me to birth. And of course, it varies from person to person, but for me, it was really important for me to be able to eat, drink, move around, and do those things. And I wanted to feel safe. So I decided to have a home birth. My home birth was amazing, and it was in July. The birds were chirping. It was amazing. Like it was, uh, it made me go in myself. My midwives never gave me a cervical check. They were hands off. They checked on baby, they monitored baby, but I had the opportunity to explore myself with this birth. So I ended up having my first child. I struggled with lactation, excuse me, and I ended up getting pregnant again. So I had another baby, but this time my birth was not all I wanted. I didn't pay for that birth. I paid for the birth, but this birth was challenging. I needed those hands. My midwives would do like they would have me on the toilet, they had me squatting, they had me on the side, and my daughter just was struggling. I was struggling with my baby. But luckily, I had my midwives to just bring me back, ground me, and tell me when I felt like I wasn't going to perform well or I felt like I wanted to give up. They were just like, no, you got this. And so my daughter had shoulder dysmorphia and she came out not breathing. So it led me and my husband, well, I didn't even know what was happening. My husband was watching it, he was crying, and I looked down at him and I'm like, why are you crying? And it was because my daughter came out not breathing. And so we were able to resuscitate her. She's alive now. And she taught me that birth looks different in different ways. No matter what you feel like you're going to get, you may get something else. And I think that's really important to share because that's why I became a birth worker. I was trying to figure out why it was so different. I didn't even know what a doula was until after baby number 2 postpartum. So the fear, I had so many challenges with my postpartum. It was fear, it was lack of community, it was family tension, it was not knowing myself, it was not knowing my worth, it was not having boundaries, it was not having a strong voice for myself. And I honestly believe that postpartum is forever. So I was in this world of getting out of my postpartum experience, my negative emotions, and I ended up finding out what a doula was, and I wanted to become a doula so that I could be a part of someone else's community because I didn't have too many people a part of mine. So in doula work, I started doing art, and I was so inspired by our birth and my experiences, and I really wanted more people to see it. I wanted more people to understand that they could do certain things that maybe their mind was limiting them. Limiting, yeah. It was a limitation that I put on myself. And so my goal was to start advocating for birth and lactation through my own art. So yeah. So the next one, and this is a picture of me and my baby and my husband. This is my daughter's birth. And I think I wrote down photo taken by midwife Alexa. My midwife Alexa, she really helped me through this birth. Oh, Alexa's going off. But yeah, she helped me. And I also want to talk about the importance of birth photography. This was my midwife randomly catching a picture. I would have never been able to see myself if my midwife didn't just stop everything and take a photo. So if you are pregnant or you're working around people who are pregnant, I really want you to just consider, even if, it's just on your phone camera, take a picture and let them see themselves, because when you're birthing, you don't really get to see yourself like this. So yeah. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I want to make sure I give space.
There's some comments. So they were talking about art, it lives on after we pass as a reflection. Benita says it can speak to things we cannot always have the words for, and it do not always have the words for. People are commenting that your picture of your family and this birthing experience is beautiful. They love this. What a beautiful moment. Woo, even the the words you can't express, right? Like, whoa, this is beautiful and family love. And it says her little bottom fits right in your hand. And it is beautiful. And we need to see more of this in community.
Oh, we need to see ourselves. Yeah. I love that. I'm taking everything in. I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts. It means so much to me, and I'm so happy to be able to share these things. Um, so yeah. Oh, and I also wanted to say, I had no idea what a doula was because they were out of my budget, and I was wrong. If I go back in time, I would have had a postpartum doula, at least a postpartum doula. So if you are someone who is considering or having a baby in the future, definitely consider hiring a birth worker. So yeah, inspired. Ooh. So what inspires you to create? I can tell you what inspires me to create. Please put that in the chat. I really want to hear what inspires you to create. If you are even thinking of creating, what would inspire you to create? Things that inspired me was my struggles, not feeling accepted, even within myself. Woo! My struggles with postpartum, my struggles with depression, um, I needed a voice, and art has given me the opportunity to communicate things that my words can never, like she said, yeah. My struggles with needing a stable support system, my struggle with watching people not get treated humanely. So when I became a doula, I saw so many different things coming from a world of birthing my way, all these flowers and rainbows, to going to not even just hospital, but going to a place where placentas were getting ripped out, people couldn't advocate for themselves, people were given drugs without their consent. It really impacted me. So my goal was to work towards showing what I really wanted to see. And so on the left side, it's when people send me their photos, it's actual people. A lot of times it's actual people sending me their photos and sharing their stories. This is of a birth worker, and she had her baby. And in the bigger picture, you can see her husband, her partner's hand, her husband's hand, and her daughter just touching baby. On the right side, you can see a photo of SNS feeding system. My goal was to advocate for things that are not just about breastfeeding, because it's important for us to know that these things are out here so that we can possibly use those tools in our life. Okay, so we're gonna have another critique. So my mission as an artist, my mission is to capture the essence of parenthood, and I wanted to create an open critique. I want to also list out what a critique is, because I really want us to start feeling confident in critiquing. So what you're going to do is say something positive about the art. You can just explain what you see, and then I want you to say maybe something that can challenge, or even just bring up a point that just connects with you. So I'll open the floor to that.
I want to say real quick, though, there was some comments. Stephanie said that she's looking to start making breast milk and teething jewelry. I love creating, and I think channeling that into what I do as a lactation counselor and postpartum doula fits well. And then someone else said, I love that. Stephanie also said, I love that SNS image.
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
I'm so excited for your journey, girl. Like I think we need more creativity, and I wish I did that too. I wish I had a piece of jewelry with my breast milk, because I'm a lactation advocate. So yes. So yeah, if you want to do a critique on this painting, I welcome it. So I can tell you a little bit about this piece too. This piece was inspired by a mom. She sent me her photo, and this was when I first
This
started.
is Stephanie. Hi, Lauren.
Hello.
We can't hear you
Stephanie?
now. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Go ahead, honey. Yeah, hi. No, I was gonna say I love the fact that the background is monarch butterflies, because what we go through to become the people we are after birth is really the cocoon stage. Pregnancy is the cocoon stage. And when you come out, you're not the same caterpillar you were before. So this, I don't know if it was intentional that you did that, but it is so spot on. It's unbelievable.
Thank you. Yes, that was my intention. And she felt like that too. She felt like that too. And her mom purchased the painting for her. And I'm so happy that you picked that up. Art is very intentional. And actually, that's the next slide. That's a good break, girl. Thank you, girl. So why is art a great tool for communication? Like we were saying, when you mentioned the monarch butterfly, um, it is a subject matter. So when you're able to tie certain things in the work of art, it becomes so much more deeper than just having monarch butterflies instead of just having a mom holding her baby during postpartum. So I'm so happy that you pointed that out. So there are 4 factors I wanted to talk about and build upon. Color theory, and you can see even with the color theory, I try to play around with it. You can see that the red is like vibrating on the green. And that's what we do in color theory. We play around with color, shapes, color. I'm sorry. So, oh my gosh, I messed up my point. I wanted to ask who benefits from understanding color theory. We talk about businesses benefiting over color theory. And there's this thing called the golden arches. Does anybody know what the golden arch is? That's McDonald's. When you're using orange, it makes you hungry. And yeah, it's going to be in the next slide, but yeah, the golden arch, businesses use color theory. Like when you go to the hospital, you'll see a lot of blues, you'll see a lot of calm colors. It's a reason why you don't see big red, vibrant colors when you go to the dentist's office. And so color theory is important. Our stories are important. The subject matter is important. And being able to have a community is important too. As you know, most of my community is birth workers. So the subject matter can be emotions and feelings, nature, other works of art. So with my work of art, I basically use other people's work of art to create something. So if it's a photographer or if it's a mom just taking photos of her baby, that is her art, and I'm actually changing it to create my work of art. Music, whew, the power of music. If you see someone selling art and it's Tupac or like, you know, just Rihanna, the fact that the person is able to link that musical idol is the reason why the painting is going to be successful sometimes when it comes to those things. Dreams and imagination, current events and social issues, dreams and ambitions. Artists may be driven by their own dreams and aspirations or desire for self-exploration and creative fulfillment. And like I said, our stories, painting images of lactation inspire so many people. Seeing images of birth has had a positive impact on people who are going through birth. So that's why art is a great tool. So I'm not going to read this because I know we're running out of time, but I want you to screenshot it. The color theory. I even have my little prep. But yeah, like when you get to know the color wheel, you can do so much with color. You can create I think it's the next one. Like for this painting, when you see the values, you see the painting in black and white, and you can see that there are values that pop out and values that sit back. So you can say that you can see her face. It's a whole different vibe than the one on the right, which is the bold red. The bold red has so much more emotion, but it's still the playing of the color. Even though the color is more bold, it can be more muted, but the lighter colors will transition and make the painting have more depth. Does anybody want to do a critique on this painting? I always think it's interesting. And this painting was inspired by Leon Johnson. He is a photographer, and he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I would love for you to paint one of my images." And I was like, "Wow, he's an amazing photographer. Definitely look him up. His name is Leon Johnson, and he's on Instagram and Facebook and all those things." So this is another thing about color theory. We have the good and the bad and the good. So pink can be seen as sensitive, while it's also seen as feminine. Purple can be seen as mystery, but also seen as luxury. Orange can be seen as urgency, but also be seen as passion. So you can see that the colors can change from just the observation or just the subject matter. Feels like I have to run through. I want to do a critique on this painting. This is one of my paintings called Birth of the Universe. I think it's pretty successful. This is one of my best-selling works of art. If you would like to share a critique, I would love to hear it. Remember, you can say something that you see, and then share something that you like about it, and then share something that may be like just, not negative, but just something that helped me work on something, like helps me work on like something I should think about. For me, I can say that I wish that the placenta was still like pulsating, through the umbilical cord. Like, but definitely share.
The immediate thought came to me is that I belong anywhere in the universe, and that's something my dad told me as a little Black girl. I realize now, right, a reflection that message that my father gave me, I have been able to give to educators, particularly white educators, even in our restorative circles in schools that I'm leading. And when I shared how my father affirmed me in that way, they were surprised and was like, wow, and in that affirmation. And so to me, that's what this conveyed right away. Like my father, and if you're spiritual, the spiritual father, right? Reminding you you're connected to the universe. So for me, it's beautiful. I have connection to my father who's passed away, but also my spirituality. And so in the blues, in those colors also feel though in the purple, even though it's dark, I feel the warmth from that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. You see how it connects with family? Like, it's a different perspective. Oh, you can speak, Stephanie. I don't know how to.
Oh, okay. I didn't
You?
want to overtalk somebody.
Yeah.
So I had a interesting thought. So I read, and I'll make this super fast. I know we're running out of time, but I read this article that gave a detailed explanation of the fact that the uterus is literally a fortress. It was never created to, it's not a nurturing device. It's not a nurturing organ. It is an actual fortress. It is made to perfectly protect the baby in every way, shape, or form. What it made me think about that is that's what this reminds me of. Like, to me, this is baby still inside. They are still attached. I have a feeling that it was intended to be more of the lotus birth, but for me, it goes back to before that, when the baby is perfectly protected by everything in the universe, making sure that that baby comes out the way it needs to. And they are perfectly nurtured by the placenta, which is what it was designed to do. And then when they come out, they are faced with everything else.
Oh, that's deep, girl. I love that. I love these answers. See, this is why I want you guys to feel comfortable with critiquing, because I would have never came up with that. And it's because of the perspective. I appreciate this. This is amazing. I'm in awe. That's awesome.
We
Okay,
have,
okay.
wait a minute, Stephanie didn't say it, but there's a whole nother piece to that. She said, wow, the wombiverse. I think we got a new word to add to the dictionary, wombiverse.
You need to trademark that.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
That's exactly
That's
what I thought.
awesome. Yes. All right, so I'm gonna try to go through. Okay, so the birthing space, how can we introduce art within the birthing space? And of course, like I said, take screenshots. I feel like including art in the birthing space is what helped me elevate myself as a birth worker when I was when I was a birth doula. I just set up the room, like I had the dimming lights. I also, so whenever people came in the room, I would make sure that the lights were off. The doctors and nurses come in, but I made sure that I could play around with space the best that I could. I had fake candles, so I would put fake candles all around. Like I mentioned before, birth photography, you don't know if you were able to just snap a photo of the person after birth, it would mean so much to them, because I didn't even think to have a birth photographer. I was cheap. I was too cheap for my own good. And I wish that I had people who, well, you know what? I had a midwife who snapped the photo. So including birth photography or art books. Art books can just be books that you create with family. Like you can make them what's it called, scrapbook, birth affirmations, really saying the affirmations and actually like believing them. That's the biggest thing for me. Like just have affirmations that you cling to. Like my body knows how to birth, and I trust my instincts. Natural inspired art. Of course, I have art that I'm selling, but it may be better to actually, go with maybe a different route, which is not figures, but hanging paintings, photography. You can also just use tape and put them around the room, or you can just hold them. So when the birthing person is like in the depth, you can show them this art, put it around their bed, have something that is not just focused on hospital. Personalized art, and that includes like actual paintings or drawings. But the biggest thing for me is music. And I wanted to break down why music is important: relaxation and pain management, distraction and focal point, personalized playlists, motivation and empowerment, enhancing the atmosphere, guided meditation and visualization, partner support. Like it gives the partner an opportunity to interact with the person who is birthing. And I can also share my story. I was listening to Sade with my daughter. And when Sade came on, I was relaxed. That was a moment of me just giving in instead of giving up. And I'm just happy that I had the opportunity to, give birth with water, but it was nothing like the music. The music set the mood. If you are a doula or someone who is holding space in that realm, I definitely suggest you get like a little speakerphone, not speakerphone, but a little what's it called, like a box or something, a music box or something like that. And just have it there so that they can play music, maybe create a playlist, or maybe just listen to sweet sounds, maybe water crashing. Those things will take you out of feeling as if you're in the hospital. The goal is to change the atmosphere, and that's what I feel like why people hired me, as their doula, because I was able to put my art in their space. And please welcome, I welcome any questions or comments. I'm just running through real quick because I know we have limited time, but I wanted to share a photo of my kids. I wanted the opportunity to. This is me breastfeeding my baby. My daughter's 6 now. I think she was about 1 in this photo. And this is my son playing with chalk. We just really wanted to get him into doing some type of art, but he does some art sometimes. But my daughter just loves art, so yeah. So how can we use art in our daily lives with little ones? Provide art supplies, set up a space. This can be just a space on the floor. Encourage open-ended exploration, offer diverse art experiences, visit art galleries and museums, engage in art-related outings, provide art books, resources, encourage self-expression, foster collaboration in group projects and display and celebrate their artwork. When I say display, I say that because I'm working on displaying. Like we have areas in our house that we put artwork, but we're doing so much art that it's collecting. So I try to put it face down in the trash can. My kids saw me out. But my goal now is to take photos of the art. So I'll ask them, hey, are you ready to let this one go? I think it's really important as an artist to let art go. Please do not hold on to your art. Please do not hoard your art. Be willing to let it go. And yeah. I want to make sure I touch on all. Okay, art teacher. Okay, so I want to also share that my art teacher, he destroyed. I used to be in sculpture, and my art teacher would destroy our work on purpose. Like, imagine you spend hours on the sculpture, you feel like, yes, this is amazing, and he just came around and smushed it because he wanted to teach us to not hold on to these things. Take photos, share them, have the moment with them, but be willing to let them go. You don't want to have an unhealthy relationship with your art. I didn't want to run through this, but we're gonna have to run through representation. It's so important to see ourselves. It's so important to share our stories. Um, it, Representation, it's a part of the reasons why I create art. It's important for us to share stories because if you weren't able to see yourself doing things that you didn't imagine. Like, imagine, like, for my painting on the left, this is a photo of, well, it's the painting of a photo of a birth worker. Her husband reached out to me for a commission, and it's her mom and herself and her baby girl being latched for the first time, her mother supporting her. So it brings up this idea of, wow, maybe my mother can support me. Or maybe it brings up a conversation of, maybe my mom can't really support me, so I need someone else to support me. So I feel like it's really important to create the conversation no matter how it goes, because it gives people opportunity to explore what they may need for their journey. So celebrate and empower is so important. So copyright, I know I'm running out of time, but I really wanted to just say this out loud. When you're taking a photo, or if you have a photo taken of you lactating or birthing, you do not own the copyright to that photo. We're in the United States, so keep that in mind. So if you have someone like me who you want to hire for a painting, it's important for you to read your contract and know that you don't own the copyright. So it's important for you to ask the photographer every single time. So now I wanted to answer this question: how can art inspire us through parenthood? Please share. This is like towards the end. I know you guys have to go. Let me see if I can read the
We
chat.
can stay on for a couple more minutes for anyone. I
Okay.
don't want people to run. It's not like it's going to stop on its own. So there was some comments. People really appreciated seeing your family, that it was beautiful. I want to correct myself. It was Jennifer who said Woombiverse, and we all encourage Jennifer to copyright that and trademark
Yes, please.
today, not tomorrow. Comments people were saying were really deep. Raven said, this was really good, Lauren. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Representation is necessary. Is there anyone who wants to unmute? Because I too get excited about participating in these series, and I do have a lot to say. For me, I just walked through my mind with my daughter Justice, who is completing a degree in art right now. She was at a different institution. She came back home to Minnesota, but she was one of the little kids that I did take, meaning exactly what you said. She was at Minneapolis College of Art when she was like 5 or 6 years old during the summer. And a lot of times we think there's no resources in community. There are scholarships and there are programs. And so she had painted things there. We hung them up on the door. When you come in the door, it would be this long piece of paper that she created. I have her artwork probably throughout her life, and she's even been going back and looking at her improvements and critiquing, as you're saying. So I just really can't thank you enough. I think this presentation today is incredible. I know more people will watch it as a recording, and we're just grateful to your brilliance, the way you've shown community, the way you have brought art to life and inspiring us to use it in a more you know, like be affirmed. I feel
Yeah.
like you affirmed us in doing that in community and with our families. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your kind words. I'm so happy to have, you know, talked about these things. It's important, and know that, you know, going, it's so important for us to just put our art out there. If you are someone who wants to sell art, just put it out. You know, it's so hard, but you, that's how you grow. I'm also talking to myself, right? Yes, because, you know, if you have a little one who's wanting to sell, social media is amazing, because if people hear the story behind the person who's creating the art, you can literally build a following by just sharing your story and sharing your art. So I hope that more people, especially birth workers, start sharing their art, even if it's not about birth. So yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations to your daughter.
Thank you. And then we have Benita who's saying thank you. Thank you. She loved this conversation, Loren. Thank you, Loren. You are phenomenal, from Stephanie. So I think we all here are very appreciative. Benita saying she appreciated the education too. And Jennifer, I loved hearing your story. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining again. This series is sponsored by Minnesota Department of Human Services, as well as the SAMHSA State Opioid Response 2 grant. Loren did not have any disclosures or any conflicts of interest in presenting this to us today. And we just thank you all and look forward to having you return again to our series, recommending someone else to speak and share their professionalism, their craft, their skill, whatever talents that they have in leading us forward in this conversation. Thank you, everyone, and have a great afternoon.
Take care.